For over 2 years, the tactical skies over the Donbas have been dominated by a brutal asymmetric math. The Russian Federation, leveraging its massive Soviet-era stockpiles, has systematically unguided its way into positional advantages using UMPK glide bomb kits. These crude yet devastating weapons routinely flattened Ukrainian fortifications from distances far beyond the reach of short-range air defenses. But on June 24, 2026, that mathematical asymmetry was violently disrupted. Deep within Ukrainian engineering facilities, a long-hidden project was quietly finalized. For over 12 months, domestic defense initiatives labored under strict operational security to produce a sovereign countermeasure. Now it has arrived. The weapon is officially designated as the Veryvu, but among frontline operators and military analysts, it has already earned a much more ominous moniker, the Leveler. 2 prototype units were sorties via a modified Ukrainian MiG-29 Fulcrum targeted directly at a heavily fortified Russian trench system, acting as a staging point for an impending assault. Equipped with advanced aerodynamic wing correction modules, the bombs glided silently through contested airspace, correcting their flight paths in real time. The kinetic impact was absolute. To understand the strategic gravity of this strike, we must examine the technical evolution of Ukraine's aerial doctrine. The Leveler is not an overnight miracle. It is the culmination of a desperate race against time and Russian industrial output. The conceptual framework was first made public in June 2024. Air Force Command officials, led by Serhiy Holubtsov, announced that Ukraine was entering the testing phase of a domestic alternative to the Russian KA-B and FA-B glide bombs. The primary objective was clear harvest the thousands of Soviet-era unguided iron bombs left over from the Cold War and retrofit them with low-cost, high-efficiency guidance wings. By September of that same year, combat aviation channels published preliminary drop tests utilizing an Su-24 Fencer platform. The grainy footage revealed a primitive assembly-folded spring-loaded wings and a crude, rounded aerodynamic nose fairing designed to reduce drag coefficient. Then the program vanished into total radio silence for nearly 2 years. Military analysts speculated heavily on this developmental hiatus. Some posited that Ukrainian engineers faced immense hurdles in overcoming Russian electronic warfare, specifically the high-power GPS jamming networks deployed in the Zaporizhia and Donetsk sectors. Others suggested that Kyiv chose to allocate its immediate industrial capacity to long-range strike drones, utilizing Western-supplied JDAMER and French AAASM hammer kits as a temporary stopgap. What elevates the Leveler from a standard tactical asset to a true strategic equalizer is its internal architecture. Russia's UMPK kits rely on a good enough doctrine. They use basic satellite navigation loops that frequently miss specific targets by hundreds of meters, relying solely on the sheer blast radius of massive 1,500-kilogram warheads to achieve their objectives. For Moscow, collateral damage and indiscriminate destruction are acceptable variables. Kyiv cannot afford that luxury. The Leveler incorporates advanced, localized guidance algorithms that operate independently of traditional GPS constellations. When navigating through heavy electronic warfare environments where Russian Zytel or Pol-21 jammers render standard satellite tracking obsolete, The leveler switches to a localized inertial system augmented by modern visual processing algorithms, essentially a localized form of artificial intelligence. By scanning terrain features and comparing them with preloaded digital maps, the bomb corrects its glide fins to achieve sub-5-meter circular error, probable accuracy. It turns a dumb iron casing into a sniper rifle dropped from the sky. But the true genius of the leveler lies within its economic calculus. During the initial phases of the war, Ukraine relied heavily on American-supplied JDAM kits. While phenomenally accurate, the JDAM presents a massive financial and logistical bottleneck. In the current geopolitical landscape of 2026, with aid architectures shifting toward the Pearl Initiative, Ukraine must increasingly purchase Western armaments directly. Military intelligence reports indicate that a standard sovereign leveler kit costs roughly 1/3 of the price of a Western JDAM equivalent. In the grim arithmetic of attrition warfare, this economic efficiency transforms the battlefield. For every single Western-guided bomb Ukraine could previously afford to drop, it can now manufacture and deploy 3 leveler kits. This triple firepower multiplier completely alters the operational safety calculations for Russian frontline commanders. They are no longer facing a scarce, highly rationed resource. They are facing the prospect of sustainable, mass-produced aerial bombardment. Furthermore, this domestic production model carries profound geopolitical implications. The political shifts in Washington following Donald Trump's return to the presidency introduced deep layers of unpredictability into Ukraine's supply lines. While recent diplomatic breakthroughs at the 2026 G7 summit indicate a stabilizing relationship, with President Trump openly praising Kyiv's strategic resilience, the underlying lesson for Ukraine has been permanently learned. True security requires domestic self-reliance. The leveler carries no foreign political strings. It requires no third-party authorization for cross-border strikes, and its production volume is limited only by the raw industrial capacity of Ukraine's underground manufacturing networks. To fully appreciate why the leveler is generating waves of panic within the Russian General Staff, we must examine the sheer scale of the glide bomb threat Ukraine has been forced to endure. Throughout the spring of 2026, Russia maximized its tactical aviation output. In March alone, Russian aerospace forces launched a staggering 7,987 guided aerial munitions against Ukrainian defensive lines and urban centers, setting an all-time monthly record for the conflict. April followed closely with nearly 7,000 strikes. Data analyzed by independent think tanks suggests that by the end of 2026, Russia will have dropped over 75,000 guided bombs across the theater, a 25% surge over their 2025 operational totals. This terrifying volume allowed Russia to bypass its lack of strategic air superiority, using long-range glide paths to slowly pulverize Ukrainian strongpoints out of sheer attrition. The civilian toll has been catastrophic, contributing heavily to the thousands of verified civilian casualties documented by international observers. Ukraine fought back tenaciously against this onslaught using innovative asymmetric means. In April 2026, details emerged of a highly classified electronic warfare system known as Lima Quant. This revolutionary jammer specifically targeted the telemetry links of Russian UMPK kits. Frontline statistics proved its immense efficacy, Along a critical 700-kilometer stretch of the contact line, the deployment of Lima Quant caused the combat effectiveness of Russian KA-B bombs to plummet towards zero. Out of nearly 870 bombs dropped in that sector over a single month, the jammed munitions drifted so far off target that only minor injuries to 8 personnel were recorded across the entire defensive line. The integration of the leveler marks the birth of Ukraine's synchronized middle strike campaign, a doctrine designed to systematically hollow out Russia's operational rear. Up until this point, the middle strike campaign was spearheaded almost exclusively by a new generation of sophisticated long-range unmanned aerial vehicles. Foremost among these is the Hornet, an AI-enabled loitering munition co-developed with Western technology partners that possesses autonomous target recognition and operates entirely free of human telemetry inputs. Working alongside it is the Behemoth, a massive heavy payload drone capable of flying 300 kilometers deep into hostile territory to deliver a 75-kilogram tandem warhead optimized with thermobaric compounds to crack reinforced concrete bunkers. Simultaneously, the highly classified Morgan drone has turned the vital R-280 highway, the main ground line of communication linking the Russian mainland to occupied Crimea, into a burnt-out landscape of destroyed logistics and shattered supply convoys. This sustained drone campaign successfully blunted Vladimir Putin's highly publicized Grand Summer Offensive, which was explicitly ordered to capture the entirety of the Donbas region by September 2026. Instead of achieving breakthroughs, Russian forces found themselves starved of fuel, their command centers disrupted, and their ammunition dumps vaporized deep within their own near rear. Now inject the leveler into this operational equation. While drones offer superb precision and long-range harassment capability, they generally carry limited explosive payloads. The leveler introduces heavy kinetic mass back into the formula. By combining these technologies, Ukraine is constructing a terrifying 3-tiered tactical kill zone that defies traditional Soviet defensive doctrines. Tier 1, the tactical front line. Highly saturated FPV drone networks and automated artillery clusters lock down the immediate contact zone, instantly turning any attempt by Russian infantry to climb out of their trenches into a high-casualty suicide mission. Tier 2, the near rear. Operating from distances up to 80 kilometers away, Ukrainian fighter jets deploy the leveler. Armed with heavy blast fragmentation warheads, these precision-guided bombs systematically erase the secondary defensive lines, underground command bunkers, localized radar installations, and assembly areas. Russian soldiers attempting to seek cover from the frontline drones are pulverized inside their own fortifications. Tier 3, the strategic logistical rear. Deeper into the Russian interior, the Hornet Behemoth and Morgan drones continuously hunt supply trucks, fuel depots, and reinforcement rail links, ensuring that any units surviving the front line receive no ammunition, no food, and no relief. This is the grim, tactical reality now staring down the throat of the Russian military machine. With the successful combat debut of the leveler, Ukraine has proved that it possesses the engineering genius to not only withstand the industrial weight of a superpower, but to out-innovate it on every conceivable level. The battlefield is no longer skewed in Moscow's favor. The playing field has been officially leveled. For more deep dives into the cutting-edge weapon systems transforming global warfare, including Ukraine's recent retrofitting of British high-velocity Mach 3 missiles, click on the video linking on your screen right now. Don't forget to subscribe, and as always, thank you for watching.